The school hallways echoed with laughter and sneakers squeaking on polished tiles. Among the sea of students and teachers rushing through another regular day, walked an old man in a faded blue jumpsuit, pushing a rusty cart filled with cleaning supplies. His name was Mr. Harris. Quiet, gray-bearded, eyes always focused on the floor. Most students barely noticed him. To some he was invisible, but to a certain group of entitled students, the so-called Legacy Club kids, he was just the janitor, someone to joke about, mock, and occasionally spill trash in front of on purpose. They wore designer jackets, threw around names of senators and CEOs as casually as if they were cousins, and acted like the school belonged to them. They had power, privilege, and no patience for those beneath them. On this particular morning, they saw Mr. Harris mopping near their lockers and exchanged smirks. "Hey, floor boy," one of them sneered. "Missed a spot. Oh wait, that's just your face in the reflection." The others laughed cruelly. Mr. Harris said nothing. He just kept mopping. As the days went on, the teasing got worse. They left banana peels in the hallway, kicked over his supply cart, and one day even filmed a TikTok mocking how slowly he walked. "Betty lives in a closet under the stairs," one caption read. They posted it online with hashtags like the poor life and peasant sweeper. It went viral around the school. No one stepped in, not even other teachers. Mr. Harris kept his head down and kept cleaning. "He doesn't say a word," one of the bullies said. "That's how you know he's a nobody." But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that Mr. Harris wasn't just a janitor. He had arrived at the school only a few months earlier. He was quiet, yes, but not because he had nothing to say. He was watching, observing, and he had a reason for being exactly where he was. Everything he did, from the hallways, he cleaned to the names. He remembered was intentional, and soon their ridicule would backfire in a way no one could have expected. It happened during the school's annual Founders' Day assembly, an event meant to honor the people who built the school decades ago. The Legacy Club was front and center, dressed in suits and silk dresses, ready to give a performance they'd written about how their families had donated to the school for generations. The auditorium was full, cameras rolling, but right before the event began, the principal, a stern, private man named Dr. Whitaker, stepped on stage with an unexpected announcement. "We have a very special guest among us today," he said. "A man who has quietly observed this school's culture, its values, and its character." Murmurs rippled across the room. Then Dr. Whitaker turned toward the side curtain and said, "Please welcome Mr. Harris." The audience blinked in confusion. The janitor? The Legacy Club snickered, until Mr. Harris stepped onto the stage. No mop, no cart, wearing a tailored suit. His posture strong and commanding. He wasn't the same silent man they mocked. And then Dr. Whitaker said something that made the entire auditorium fall silent. "Please rise for Colonel James Harris, Medal of Honor recipient, and the new chairman of our school's oversight board." Gasps echoed around the auditorium. Phones dropped. Mouths hung open. Colonel James Harris, chairman, Medal of Honor? Even the staff didn't see it coming. Mr. Harris took the podium and began to speak. His voice was calm but firm. "You all judged me by my uniform, not knowing I wore another one long before this," he said, gesturing to the janitor's jumpsuit he'd left folded on a table behind him. "I served this country for 30 years. I've led men through war. I've built schools in war zones. And I've watched young people grow into strong leaders." He paused and looked directly at the Legacy Club students in the front row. "But leadership doesn't start with power. It starts with respect. And many of you failed that test." Silence. The principal stepped forward again and confirmed it. Colonel Harris had been working undercover, observing how students treated those they thought had no power. He had full backing from the school board, and had taken this job personally to investigate growing concerns about entitlement and class discrimination. "What you thought was beneath you," he said, "was above you in integrity all along." The fallout was immediate. The video of the Legacy Club mocking him went viral again, but this time, with a very different reaction. Parents were furious. Community leaders spoke out. Some sponsors even pulled funding. The students who had mocked Mr. Harris were suspended from extracurriculars and placed into community service assignments, not for punishment, but for perspective. The school implemented a new respect curriculum, spearheaded by Mr. Harris himself, now officially titled Colonel Harris, Director of Character Development. He walked the halls now with purpose, not as a janitor, but as a man who had seen both the battlefield and the blackboard. Students started holding doors for staff. They picked up trash without being told. One freshman was overheard saying, "If he can mop with honor, I can clean my own mess." Respect spread like wildfire. And as for the Legacy Club, they weren't disbanded. They were reformed with new leadership, chosen not by last names but by merit and kindness. One day a young student walked up to Colonel Harris in the cafeteria and asked, "Sir, why didn't you just tell everyone who you were from the beginning?" Harris smiled and said, "Because how you treat someone you think is nothing tells me everything I need to know." That line was printed and placed above every classroom door. It became the school's new motto. Not just words, but a daily reminder. Mr. Harris showed them that true respect doesn't come from money, titles, or legacy. It comes from character, humility, and the way you treat those with no voice. And in one of the richest, most elite schools in the country, it was the man with the mop who taught them the richest lesson of all, one that would echo through generations. Never judge a person by their uniform. Judge them by their respect. And as the final bell rang each day, and Mr. Harris walked the halls, this time with nods and greetings from every direction, he didn't need a podium to lead. He already had their hearts.